CNC Life. Hope it's having a fantastic day. Today I'm doing a sit-down video for you guys because I have something I really need to get off my chest. I've never told the story before. I'm going to tell the story today. Today I'm going to be telling you guys my top 3 worst moments as a parent that I've ever had. And number 1 is going to absolutely shock you guys because I've never told this story before. It actually happened not too long ago. But stay tuned for the number 1 story, you guys. It's a rough one. No judgment, hopefully. No judgment. But anyways, I thought I could start doing some type of fun sit-down videos with you guys. As you guys know, like, I'm kind of doing some DIYs with Jackson and crafts. Obviously, we're getting Jackson ready for pre-K, so I'm kind of going to be shifting a little bit my content more focused on some more sit-down stuff for you guys. So this one I thought could be more of a one-on-one conversation. Maybe I can give you guys my parenting tips, or I can give you guys my must-have. Today I'm going to tell you guys my top 3 worst moments as a parent that I've ever had. And let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Coming in at number 3, I feel like I've told this story on Instagram before. I don't quite know if I've told you guys this one, but my number 3 worst moment as a parent has to be when Jackson woke up one day and just couldn't walk. He could not walk on his legs. Every time he did, he would scream out crying. So the way that this one started out was in the morning. He woke up in the morning. I remember he walked out of his room and he wanted me to pick him up, which is totally normal. He was 2.5 years old. This was August of 2023. I was pregnant with Iris and Jackson was probably almost 2.5. Now, as you guys know, Jackson has a pretty rough speech delay, and at 2.5, he was not speaking at all, I'd say. He was probably not saying anything. So, getting any kind of information out of Jackson at this age was very difficult, probably on a normal 2-year-old, but also on him being speech delayed, it was even more difficult. So, what happened was, we went downstairs, it was very early, I think it was like 9 in the morning. I laid him on the couch myself, and I put a show on for him. So, I hadn't known yet that he couldn't walk. Shortly after that, I realized that I was like, oh, come here, Jackson. And he got up off the couch and he screamed out in pain. And immediately I noticed that he could not bear weight on his right leg whatsoever. And it was very weird at first because I was just like, oh, that's weird. It's like your leg like numb, like, you know, like it's asleep maybe or tingly. But no, it was something way worse than that. He was in very, very agonizing pain only when he bared weight on his leg. I'm gonna show you guys a clip real quick of him walking. I am going to mute it though because it's kind of gut-wrenching actually, and I took these videos because I was like, if I need to show a doctor, I also wanted to show my mom at the time. I was like, I need to be able to like show them this. So here's this video of Jackson. And it's a really hard watch because when I listen to it, the audio is it's just bad. He is in very much a lot of pain. He could not walk. And so immediately I'm like, we need to take him to urgent care. This is bad. Like, and I you know, as a mom, you kind of go worst case scenario. Like maybe he broke his leg somehow. I don't know, maybe he broke it in his sleep. He didn't hurt himself. There was nothing I could think of that he tripped and fell, and it was like overnight. So he woke up with this problem. Anyways, so I get to make an urgent care appointment, and right before we leave for urgent care, I noticed that he takes like 1 step before crying, like 1 or 2 steps before crying. And I was like, oh, that was weird, but no, we're going to urgent care. He needs to be seen by a doctor. This is not okay. So we drive all the way to urgent care. We get our appointment. And right before we walk into urgent care, I'm like, wait, real quick. Let's just see one more time if he can walk. And I set him outside the car and he literally starts walking and does not cry once. So we pack up and we go home. And to this day, we have no idea what was wrong. Here's a video of him the same day, literally dancing and laughing and like being a totally silly dude. My parents were actually on their way to our house that day, like driving to our house. And so this is like him seeing them and being excited to see them. Totally fine by the end of the day. We still have no idea what was wrong. Has not happened since, thankfully. And honestly, if I think my best guess, I'm now thinking like growing pains or something. But it's weird because if you watch the videos, you're like, there's just no way that's growing pains. Like he's in so much pain. Alright guys, coming in at number 2 of the worst moment as a parent I've ever had is Jackson again. Actually, all 3 of these have to do with Jackson, which I just think is funny. Iris has not put us through the ringer that much yet, but Jackson has had his fair share already in the past 4 years. Coming in at number 2 is the first time we ever had to go to the ER with Jackson. Now this was absolutely traumatizing for me also as a mom. but I know it was very hard on Jackson as well. So the way that this one starts out is actually kind of interesting because we were actually in North Carolina for the very first time buying this house. Like we were in a hotel. We were not like staying at a home. We weren't home or anything. And what started out as a normal day ended us in the ER with Jackson literally until like midnight. And then the next day having to fly home to California. So the only main thing with this moment is that we had to go to the ER because Jackson got extremely sick. He could not hold any kind of food down. He was throwing up. He had really bad stomach problems. He had a horrible rash. And then I mentioned that he was only like 10 months old. So this was very rough too. He was a very young age. We were in a hotel at the time and I could not get him to sleep because he kept throwing up and he kept sobbing, crying every time he had to go to the bathroom. So he obviously was having really intense stomach pain. Like late in the night, I decided we have to go to the ER. So we drive him to the ER and he is hysterical in my arms. And Carlos has to drop me off because I'm like, I need to get out of this car. He is losing his mind. We had to put him in the car seat obviously and he was very upset about that. So I get him out of the car seat and I basically run into the ER and immediately they're like getting my information. And this ER is full of people. It's a children's ER, by the way. There's people waiting, but Jackson is screaming in a very blood-curdling type scream. Like not that whiny scream, more like that he's in a lot of pain scream. And so as soon as I get his information down, I literally sit down. And as soon as I sit down, they call his name and we walk into the back. That's how I know that they were taking us very serious because there was people there waiting. But because I think of how Jackson was acting, they were like, get that kid in here ASAP. But anyways, we basically get a room and we never really find out exactly what's wrong with him other than they tell me that he needs an IV. He's dehydrated and he needs to have an IV because he wasn't keeping fluids down. So now this comes the worst part, I think, as a parent. Is that he had to get an IV at 10 months old. And so at first, I don't want to be a part of it. And they're like trying to hold him down and trying to get an IV in his little chunky little baby arms. And then I'd realize I have to be there. I have to go be over there and go like be next to him. So I march my butt back over there and I start nursing him while he gets an IV. And it actually calms him down a lot while he gets the IV. I was in tears, he was in tears, it was really hard to see. But on the bright side, I do think the IV helped him so much because after that, I feel like he felt so much better. And eventually we get discharged and they basically just say he's got some sort of stomach problem. Either way, they sent us home and we actually made it home in peace. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to tell you guys number one now. Number one is not something that Carlos and I are very proud of. And we realized that this was avoidable. This was probably the worst moment as a parent, and it was the scariest thing we've ever had to deal with Jackson. And it was a very good learning moment for everybody. But as you guys know, a few months ago, many months ago, Jackson got a really cool electric bike. It's like one of those cool Strider bikes. I think I've showed it to you guys before. I'll show you guys a video of him here riding it. He became very good at it very quickly. Now let's just say that, you know, this was a few months ago. He's 3, okay? He turns 4 in a couple weeks here, but he's 3. And I knew right away that this bike was a little bit scary because he's riding a very fast bike and he's young and he doesn't always know the rules of how to be safe in the road and the street. Obviously he's 3 and we know that, and we've always been very strict on implementing rules of like keeping out the street, watch out for cars, don't leave mommy and daddy's sight, you know, like be very careful when we're riding bikes. But you know, at the end of the day, this is a very fast bike. This bike goes like 6-8 miles an hour, I think. And if he gets too far ahead of us, it'd be really hard for us to catch up as parents, especially if we don't have our own bikes. So what happened here was one day we went to the park, and Jackson has always been really good about riding this bike at the park. He goes very fast, but he always stops when we ask him to. We'll say, hey bud, slow down, come back, and he'll stop, turn around, come back. And it's never been an issue, but it's always been something I'm worried about. And I'm just gonna preface that. I've always been worried about it, but he's never given me signs of doubt. He's always done good. Despite it like being my own anxiety, he's always been very good at not traveling too far without hearing us and turning around and coming back. Well, on this specific day, we were at the park. We had Iris obviously in a stroller. Carlos was kind of in charge of Jackson because I was pushing the stroller, and Jackson took off on his bike and he got just a little bit ahead, but he didn't turn left where we were supposed to turn left. And so Carlos was like, hey bud, come back, turn around. And Jackson didn't come back. And so he kind of keeps going, but you know, this is a huge park, by the way. Hold on. This is a humongous park. This is not a regular park. This is a sport park. There are giant football fields. There are 2 playgrounds. There's a pond. There's baseball fields, 2 football fields, huge grass fields. This park is humongous. So I can tell you that this got out of hand really quickly and it got out of our reach very fast. So when he first went past the first part, we're supposed to turn left. It was like, oh, hey, bud, come back. You know, me and Carlos were both going, hey, Jackson, come back. No, come back, slow down. And you know, Jackson can hear us. He can hear us, but he just kept going. And when he reached the second point where we thought he was gonna turn around, that's when we realized, oh, shoot, he's still going. And so what happens is Carlos takes off after him running, and I cut left because this park is very huge that I kept thinking I could probably cut him off at some point. But Carlos takes off after him, yelling at Jackson, and Jackson keeps riding this very quick bike all by himself now, and now he's off completely, all the way gone now. This is awful. I don't even like telling the story, I think. He kept going straight, basically, and Carlos is chasing after him, and I'm running with a stroller, though, and with Iris. I can only do so much. As we're running, Jackson just keeps going, and everywhere where we thought he was gonna turn, maybe towards me, he just keeps going straight. This park is humongous, by the way. I know I've prefaced that, this park is huge. And everywhere where we normally turn, like we never go past certain points when we walk this park, Jackson just kept going. So he was going areas that we don't even ever go to, which I thought for sure that if he was gonna venture off, that eventually he would end up coming back because, you know, what's the point of going that far when you're unfamiliar and we're not there? And I also have always thought that Jackson's at a really good age where he doesn't want to be alone anymore. Like I would have said a couple years ago, if I said bye to him, he would have been like, peace out, bye. But he's at that age now where if I go, I'm leaving, he'll be like, no, don't leave me. And he'll come back to me, and he doesn't want to be alone. So I just kept thinking any minute now he's going to stop and turn back and be like, where are they? But no, Jackson just kept riding his bike actually. And he actually did stop once or twice, looked back, and probably saw Carlos chasing after him and kept going. It was awful. This lasted probably almost 3 to 5 minutes, which if you guys know in parent time, that's forever. That's forever. Finally, Jackson goes all the way up to actually where the road is. And he does not go into the road. He stays on the sidewalk the whole time, thank God. Obviously, this is where like the scary part is though, is that this could have gone haywire very quickly. You know, where he went all the way up to, he had gotten to the end of the park and he could have gone into the street. You know, that's the moral of the story, that this is an awful story because he could have gone into the street where people were driving very quickly. Right across the street, there's a fire department with fire trucks. I thought for sure this is it. He's gonna go into the road to get to the fire station, but he didn't. He stays straight all the way around the park. He goes all the way up, all the way across. I'm running with Iris. I mean, I'm gassed out. Carlos is cutting across the grass and hopes to cut him off while still yelling for him, by the way. And I finally see a moment where I think we're gonna be able to cut him off. And it's actually gonna be before he reaches the parking lot, which is, he would have crossed into the parking lot eventually, or he would have turned and stayed on the sidewalk. Who knows? He's 3. So eventually, Jackson goes all the way around. I'm about to meet up with him, but Jackson cuts through the grass and meets up with Carlos eventually. And to say the least, that our reaction was obviously very upset. We were very upset, and at first he was very happy. He was very proud of himself, I think. And I think we definitely were like, no, dude. And it ended up with him being pretty sad because we were very upset, and we grabbed his bike and we're like, you cannot ride the bike at the park anymore. And we obviously implemented consequences since then. Like, we have not taken that bike back there. I think we took it back once just to test it out, and he did do good, but I am traumatized by it. He has not been able to ride that bike since at the park. He can only ride it now out in the front with Carlos while Carlos is on a bike, because there's nothing worse than the point that we couldn't catch up to him. That was the big issue. But that was by far the scariest thing we've ever dealt with, and I want to say that was like a month or so ago, and it was awful. And it was just one of those parenting moments where you're like, wow, I can't believe I let that happen. I can't believe it happened. I will never let that happen again. Like, mark our words, that will never happen again. Obviously, we realized that the electric bike is very cool, but that, you know, at his age, him being able to ride an electric bike was not cool, and he got too far ahead of us too quickly and to the point where we could not catch up. No matter how much we were sprinting after him, he was going too fast on the bike. And that was it. And it was awful. It was an awful story. And I don't even like telling it, I think. This is the first time I've ever like verbally told a story out loud other than to my mom. So with that, I hope you guys can share with me your guys' scariest parenting moment, or just your scariest moment in general that's ever happened to make me feel a little bit better. And I hope I made you guys feel better about some of your guys' parenting moments sometimes. Don't make the same mistakes I do. Anyways, guys, I'm actually gonna go and wrap up this video. This video was so much longer than I intended, but you know, I kind of like these sit-down videos sometimes. If you guys have any other ideas of things that I could do to talk with you guys and share stories with you, please leave them down below. I think this would be a really fun thing for me to start doing. And with that, hope you guys liked. If you did, smash that thumbs up button, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.